S3 storage classes. 1. Amazon S3 provides a variety of storage classes that can be selected based on the requirements of your workloads in terms of data access, resiliency, and cost. 2. S3 storage classes are specifically designed to provide the most cost-effective storage for different access patterns. 3. S3 storage classes are suitable for virtually any use case, including those that require high performance, data residency requirements, unknown or changing access patterns, or archival storage. Amazon S3 Standard, General Purpose. 1. Low latency and high throughput performance. 2. Designed for durability of 99.9999999% or 11 nines of objects across multiple availability zones. 3. Resilient against events that impact an entire availability zone. 4. Designed for 99.99% availability over a given year. 5. Backed with the Amazon S3 Service Level Agreement for availability. 6. Supports SSL for data in transit and encryption of data at rest. 7. S3 Lifecycle Management for automatic migration of objects to other S3 storage classes. Amazon S3 Intelligent Tiering. 1. Access type is unknown or changing access. 2. Frequent, infrequent, and archive instant access tiers have the same low latency and high throughput performance of S3 Standard. 3. The infrequent access tier saves up to 40% on storage costs. The archive instant access tier saves up to 68% on storage costs. Deep Archive Access Tier has the same performance as Glacier Deep Archive and saves up to 95% for rarely accessed objects. 4. Opt-in asynchronous archive capabilities for objects that become rarely accessed. 5. Designed for durability of 99.9999999% or 11 nines of objects across multiple availability zones and for 99.9% availability over a given year. 6. Backed with the Amazon S3 Service Level Agreement for availability. 7. Small monthly monitoring and auto-tiering charge. 8. No operational overhead, no lifecycle charges, no retrieval charges, and no minimum storage duration. 9. Objects smaller than 128 kilobytes can be stored in S3 Intelligent Tiering but will always be charged at the frequent access tier rates, and are not charged the monitoring and automation charge. Amazon S3 Standard Infrequent Access. 1. Same low latency and high throughput performance of S3 Standard. 2. Designed for durability of 99.9999999% or 11 nines of objects across multiple availability zones. 3. Data is resilient in the event of one entire availability zone destruction. 4. Designed for 99.9% availability over a given year. 5. Backed with the Amazon S3 Service Level Agreement for availability. 6. Supports SSL for data in transit and encryption of data at rest. 7. S3 Lifecycle Management for automatic migration of objects to other S3 storage classes. Amazon S3 One Zone Infrequent Access. 1. Same low latency and high throughput performance of S3 Standard. 2. Designed for durability of 99.9999999% of objects in a single availability zone. 3. Designed for 99.5% availability over a given year. Backed with the Amazon S3 Service Level Agreement for availability. 4. Supports SSL for data in transit and encryption of data at rest. 5. S3 Lifecycle Management for automatic migration of objects to other S3 storage classes. S3 Storage Lifecycle. 1. In order to manage your objects so that they are stored cost-effectively throughout their lifecycle, you can configure their Amazon S3 Lifecycle. 2. An S3 lifecycle configuration is a set of rules that define actions that Amazon S3 applies to a group of objects. 3. Transition actions are actions that define when objects transition to another storage class. For instance, you might choose to transition objects to the S3 Standard YA storage class 30 days after creating them, or archive objects to the S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval storage class 1 year after creating them. 4. There are costs associated with lifecycle transition requests. For pricing information, see Amazon S3 Pricing. 5. Expiration actions are actions that define when objects expire. Amazon S3 deletes expired objects on your behalf. Lifecycle expiration costs depend on when you choose to expire objects. S3 Object Lock. 1. With S3 Object Lock, you can store objects using a write-once read-many (WORM) model. 2. Object lock can help prevent objects from being deleted or overwritten for a fixed amount of time or indefinitely. 3. You can use object lock to help meet regulatory requirements that require worm storage, or to simply add another layer of protection against object changes and deletion. 4. Object lock provides two ways to manage object retention: retention periods and legal holds. 5. Retention period specifies a fixed period of time during which an object remains locked. During this period, your object is worm protected and can't be overwritten or deleted. For more information, see retention periods. 6. Legal hold provides the same protection as a retention period, but it has no expiration date. Instead, a legal hold remains in place until you explicitly remove it. Legal holds are independent from retention periods. S3 access points. 1. Amazon S3 access points simplify data access for any AWS service or customer application that stores data in S3. 2. Access points are named network endpoints that are attached to buckets that you can use to perform S3 object operations, such as getObject and putObject. 3. Each access point has distinct permissions and network controls that S3 applies for any request that is made through that access point. 4. Each access point enforces a customized access point policy that works in conjunction with the bucket policy that is attached to the underlying bucket. 5. You can configure any access point to accept requests only from a virtual private cloud, VPC, to restrict Amazon S3 data access to a private network. 6. You can also configure custom block public access settings for each access point. S3 Object Lambda. 1. With Amazon S3 Object Lambda, you can add your own code to Amazon S3 GET, LIST, and HEAD requests to modify and process data as it is returned to an application. 2. You can use custom code to modify the data returned by S3 GET requests to filter rows, dynamically resize and watermark images, redact confidential data, and more. 3. You can also use S3 Object Lambda to modify the output of S3 list requests to create a custom view of all objects in a bucket and S3 head requests to modify object metadata such as object name and size. 4. You can use S3 Object Lambda as an origin for your Amazon CloudFront distribution to tailor data for end users, such as automatically resizing images, transcoding older formats, like from JPEG to WebP, or stripping metadata. Amazon S3 Event Notifications. 1. You can use the Amazon S3 Event Notifications feature to receive notifications when certain events happen in your S3 bucket. 2. To enable notifications, add a notification configuration that identifies the events that you want Amazon S3 to publish and the destinations where you want Amazon S3 to send the notifications. 3. You store this configuration in the notification subresource that's associated with a bucket.